Hello and welcome to Low Quarter Gaming. I'm Zach. So today I'm going to be playing something that I've actually been excited about for quite a while to play. I'm going to be playing Heroes of Normandie, and this is the Big Red 1 edition. So Heroes of Normandie has been out for a while, and they had a Kickstarter quite a while ago for the first edition of the game. And I had thought about getting it back then, and I had more recently even thought about getting it, and then I saw that they were going to do a Kickstarter for this, what's kind of like a second edition, like a 2.0 of the rule books. But not to fret, like if you did have stuff from before, there's like compatibility stuff that all the stuff from before you can still use. So I did end up getting into the Big Red 1 edition Kickstarter. And I've had it for, I don't know, a couple weeks or so. Today what I'm going to do is I'm not going to be playing like the optimal way I think to play the game. I think out of the core box where it's definitely going to shine is 2v2. And it's not really like that great to play, two-handed against yourself. But there is an official solo variant, which I also have. But what I'm trying to do now, what my goal is for this, is I want to play through two-handed just to make sure that I'm grasping the base game rules before I start altering those rules with running the AI. So what I'm hoping and what I'm asking is if anybody who knows this system is watching this video and sees me make rules mistakes or has any comments about gameplay or strategy, but more so like rules mistakes, please leave them in the comments, because I'm trying to do this as a learning exercise to get the rules down. So I will talk about things that are going to be different about how I'm playing it versus if you're actually playing a human opponent. Like there are bluff order tokens that makes sense to use when you're playing against an opponent. I will not be using the bluff order tokens because there's no reason to bluff myself. I think there's been some non-official variants to play this solo that have come out, but I haven't read any of those either. I've only looked at the base game rules so far. I haven't even started looking at the AI rules because, like I said, I wanted to make sure I got this down first before I started altering those rules with the AI. So what is it that we're looking at? So there is a scenario book also, the Big Red 1 edition scenario book. This is scenario 1 that does have a step-by-step, and I did go through the step-by-step, and I played to what I thought was the conclusion of it yesterday and the day before. So in any given scenario, you're going to be given a setup. This actual scenario here tells you or shows you where you should put the units. Not all of them do that. As the player, you have that agency to deploy your side however you see fit. For some of the scenarios, there are some things that need to go in certain places. And there are some map elements that are on the scenario. Like this is like a little bunker thing that's going to provide some defense and give them another ability that we'll talk about later. In these scenarios, it also shows you who the units for each side should be. And the unit development and the unit ability to recruit your armies is also a really cool thing for this game. Because there's this other thing that if you don't want to play one of the preset scenarios, this thing called free battle mode, where it shows you some maps you can set up, but then you get to pick your side, your armies. And the tiles have like a point value on them just to get the tile for that unit. But then there are these option slots. And for this particular one, this one has already selected 2 options to be filled in for you because this is a fixed scenario. But these options also have point costs on them. And in order to take that option tile into your recruitment tile, it has to fit the size. And the edges, the color stripes on the edges have to match. So you can see like this one here has the blue and the red that match here. And this one has the green and the black stripes that match on this one. But like I said, I did not select these. This is one of the pre-designed, pre-set up scenarios waiting for you to just go. But if you're doing that free battle mode, there are lots of options. Like this is the generic German storage box of just the generic options. I mean, look at all the stuff that's in here. And like these skinny ones would fit into this skinny slot. So in order to take that, it would have to fit in there and match the stripes, kind of like that. All right, so there's also decks of cards. There's a deck of card for, in this game, it's Germans versus Americans. There is another game, Heroes of Stalingrad, which is Germans and Russians. That came out before this version. And there's a new expansion that just finished its Kickstarter for this game that has Germans and British troops in it. So here's a deck for the Americans. I'm keeping that stuff off to the side. This is like a little turn tracker. This particular scenario ends after 6 turns. This will tell us what turn it is and who has the initiative, either the American side or the German side. We're going to do that randomly at the start, though. What else is in here for this particular scenario? So it tells us to get 1 bonus objective. So this is face down right now. There's several of those in the box. I picked one at random and put it out there. And this is what's known as a secondary objective. However, in this particular scenario, the goal to win is to control this objective. And the way you control it is to have one of your infantry units in one of these 4 squares and have no enemy units in any of those 4 squares. You control that objective the same way, but you don't win by controlling that one. That one you get the bonus, which is on the other side of it. And it also tells us to draw 3 action cards for each player. And oh, it does say apply the deployment shown above only if you want to follow the step-by-step explanations of the scenario. You know what, I already have it set up that way, so I'm just going to go with it. So you could do this scenario not setting it up this way, but I'm just going to run with it since I already have it set up. It seems fine. And then it has, yes, the victory conditions. The game can end very quickly if no one's paying attention. The player who controls the objective at the end of the supply phase wins, so that's this one. If nobody has won by the end of turn 6, the match is a draw. So, since this is a learning game, I think I'll just dive right into it. I need to shuffle these and draw some cards for each player. So this is the German deck. I will zoom in and we'll look at some tiles. They're not, I don't think they're going to play nice with the green screen because there's a lot of green on these tiles. Oh, that doesn't look that bad, actually. Okay, so when I'm doing or talking about a thing on the tile, maybe I can move it over there. We'll see if that camera continues to cooperate, because like I said, there is quite a bit of green on some of these. Okay, so this is the German deck. We'll just draw the top 3 cards, put them over there, and we'll look at those in a second. Shuffle the American deck, and then we'll just get 3 cards. It doesn't really matter too much. So let's look at some cards. I might just show most of them when I use them, but I just wanted to show some things about the cards. So the cards, some of the cards can be used for 2 different things. There's like an event or a battle action or something down here you can use it for, or there could be a bonus on here that you can also use it for at a very specific time. So this one gives you a +1 to your die roll when you're doing a firing action. So like when you're doing a shooting attack. There's assault attacks where you're like right next to each other, and also shooting attacks. This one also says play before your movement actions. You can enter or leave a building through a window. We don't have any buildings in this scenario, so I don't really care about what the rest of that thing says. So this one's kind of interesting. This is kind of like a little interrupty kind of thing. If one of your infantry hit units suffers a hit or would be destroyed by firing action, you can ignore that and they just get a suppressed instead. So instead of getting kind of like wounded, they just get suppressed, meaning they're like hiding, and they'll get some negatives to some of their rolls when they're suppressed. Anything of note in the German's hand? This is kind of a cool card. Play before the movement action of one of your infantry units. You can ignore restrictions tied to difficult passage. And this one also has the assault bonus. This is when I was saying, like, if they're next to each other, it's a different kind of combat. So there is some kind of terrain, and the icons are going to be a little small to see on the terrain. I can't like pop those over onto the close-up green screen. But I do have this camera here set up. Yeah, so you can kind of see one. Where is that pointed? Here. It's a little difficult to see, but in the middle there's a blue arrow that's pointing up with a white X in it. That means that's difficult passage terrain, and if a unit goes into that, it has to stop moving. It doesn't move for the rest of the turn. And while we're also zoomed in, there's like a red triangle with an X in it. That means it blocks line of sight. There's also this circle with a line through it, and then there's these symbols, kind of like a purplish shield and like a grayish shield. Those are light vehicles and heavy vehicles. That means that light vehicles and heavy vehicles cannot enter that space. So that's why like the red circle with the line is there. It just means nope, no go for those kind of units. This yellow shield that has a +2 is a bonus that infantry units get when they go in there. And those shields and the colors are kind of how you know what type of unit it is. So let's take a look at let's just take a look at this American fire team here. This 3 with the arrow is their movement. They can move 3 squares. The first thing to look at is the shield in the bottom middle. It's yellow. That means this is an infantry unit. The yellow, like purple and grayish, kind of like up arrow looking things here, are the bonus that they get when they fight that kind of unit. So we just learned that yellow is infantry. So if this guy was fighting another infantry unit, he would get a +2 on his dice. A light vehicle, he would get +1. And if he was fighting a heavy vehicle, he couldn't even do it. It's an X. Can't attack heavy vehicles with this one. Oh, and then other stuff on here. This skull with the little arrows on it means that when this thing gets hit, you flip it over. Some of its numbers and things might have changed, but now you can see there's a skull with a red background. That means if this thing takes one more hit, it's gone, it's off the board. And then the other ability here for these guys is that they can do an assault action. That's that like close-up hand-to-hand fighting. They can do that. So that's kind of like the basics of what is on the tiles, and if I use a tile for something else, I'll probably show it. I think the other thing to note is something like this, like a machine gun team. You can see it has like +0s for stuff, but it also has this thing with the arrow, and they're kind of like walking around. This thing means if you flip it over, it will get set up and like into position. And now they've got +3, +2, and a bunch of other abilities that we can go over if and when I use them. And then there are these other guys that are that can be concealed. They can hide if they can't be seen by the enemy, and it just means they can't be shot at when they're in this mode. But then if they shoot or if they get out into the open where enemies can see them, they'll have to flip over. There are these little marks in some places that mean that you can't pass through that way. And there are some other adjustment things on here that will affect combat. I guess we can kind of show more on the recruitment tile thing. So if you're going to take this unit, or if the scenario says you have this unit on your side, you get these tiles that are here in the middle. So it's like it's Lieutenant Will, 1 fire team, a support team, and a 30 cal machine gun team. These red boxes here means that if any 3 of these get knocked out, then this tile gets flipped over. And it could be on the other side, there's victory points for the other team, and you could lose certain benefits and things that might, bonuses and things that could be on the tile. And then the same thing goes for these things that fit into these option slots. If you take this option, it's a bazooka squad. It comes with a fire team, a support team, and then a bazooka tile. Okay, so I need to determine the initiative. So let's just roll off and see. Tie. Okay, the Americans got 4, so the Americans will have the initiative. Okay, so I did print this out from the rule book. There is a sequence of play like in the back of the rule book, but I printed it out so that I could have it handy. Back of the rule book also has a bunch of icon information, like all these little things that are on the map and on these character tiles and things. It looks like a lot, but I'm kind of grasping it after having only played like one little practice game. So the first thing we're supposed to do is the order phase. Starting with the person who has the initiative, I guess we could do this. So what we do is we count the number of these little order tokens we're supposed to have. We have this thing filled in on our recruitment tile, so that means we get 1. And then we have a little officer tile who came with this, our Lieutenant W.J. Will. He's got 2 stars on his tile, which means we get 2 order tokens just for having him. Where was he at? Doesn't really matter, I guess, because it's not like mandatory setup. I'm just going to put him right there. So that means we get 3 order tokens. And then in a heads-up game, you would get that many order tokens plus a bluff token. But like I said, we're not playing with the bluff tokens. So I'm just going to take the bluff tokens out. And for this particular scenario, we have the same thing on this side. We got 1 bonus and 2 for our officer over here. So each side is going to have 3 of these order tokens. And then we place the order tokens so you cannot read the numbers and your opponent cannot. So in an opposed game, I would go through and put my order tokens on units that I wanted to activate. And I obviously probably wouldn't put them down in order every time, because you don't want them to see like, oh, well, he's always putting down 1 right there, so that guy's going to go first and that guy's going to go second. Part of the intrigue for this is your opponent not necessarily knowing what order you're going to be activating your guys in. So let's think about this for a second. We know we need to take this right here, right? This is also a nice spot to get a team into, because it has a cool ability that's like a opportunity fire, which allows them to shoot when they normally wouldn't be able to. That's not entirely true. I mean, it allows them to shoot when somebody on this side either moves or has activated. So I want to get somebody into there. So I think I will put my 1 on that guy. I want to get my tank moving up, so I'll put my 2 on that one. And I want to get my bazooka team up to take a shot at their tank. So I would go 1, 2, 3. And I know you guys can't see the numbers, but you'll see them when I activate them, because I'm going to lay the tokens down once they've been activated. So what's the German guy going to want to do? So when I look at this board, all of this right here is difficult passage terrain, which means that these units right here can't just like blow through that. So if they're going to move up, they're going to be lined up in these trees right here. I do kind of want to grab this bonus objective, because I think I can get this unit there without this side being able to get up there. I don't think I necessarily need to do that first, so I'm going to put my 3 on that team. And maybe I'll put some pressure. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. So as the American player, like, this is a little nerve-wracking right here, especially if he puts an order token on this guy. Even if he doesn't, because everybody gets to move before a turn is over, but not everybody necessarily gets to shoot. Because after we go through the order tokens, then people who have not activated or done anything can do a move action. So this guy right here is in position to be able to threaten taking this objective. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think this American player is probably going to have to move his tank up here. But as this German player, I think I want to put that I do want to put that pressure on him. So I will move that recon group up there, and then I'm going to move my tank. Well, not first. There's not going to be anybody for him to shoot at, really. If he moves first, maybe he should move third, and that guy will move first. Normally, when you activate a unit, they can only either move or shoot. But these tanks on both sides, they're kind of similar tanks. So these have 2 weapons on them. They've got a main gun over here that has different effectiveness versus different kinds of enemies. They've got a secondary weapon over here that has this ability right here. It's kind of got a little bit of shooting symbol plus a movement symbol with a -2. That means that they can use this weapon when they move, so they can move and shoot. Not everybody can do that. And then, like I said, if this was a posed play, you'd have a bluff token out here, but I'm just not even going to do it. Then the activation phase. So we go with the initiative player, player 1, or the US player is first. When I get hit in the buildings, there's not really cards I want to play. So what you do is you go to your order token number 1. Then you activate that unit. This unit can move 3 spaces. I wish I had a card that let me move even further, but I don't. So we will go, and you can move diagonally. We will go 1, 2, 3 to there, and that's pretty much their turn. Yep, that's kind of it. So then this unit would go. They're going to take a step out. Now they are a concealed unit. This looks like a foxhole kind of thing, so it's in the ground. There's no symbols here that say that it blocks line of sight, and there's nothing intervening that obscures line of sight. So there's now clear line of sight to this concealed unit, which means it's now no longer concealed, so it can be seen. When a concealed unit flips over, it keeps its movement from the other side. It started with a movement of 3, so it's going to maintain just the 3 points. Because on this side, if it started on this side, it actually would have had 4. So we will move to there. I'm just trying to get this bonus with these recon guys. And that's going to be it for them. So then we go to the block with the 2 on this side. We will probably move and fire because we could actually shoot at those guys. I just realized, so that might not be that great for the German player because those are a one-step unit. But the main goal of moving these guys is to get a unit over here so that this guy just doesn't hop up and win the scenario. Vehicle movement, as long as you're moving forward, you can rotate 45 degrees without it costing a movement point. These guys have 5 movement points. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just get in here and occupy one of these movement, or one of these objective hexes, sorry. And we are doing the move, the firing and moving action. So now the question is, do I want to do suppression or just regular fire? I think I want to do regular fire just to try to knock it out. So it has a +3 with this weapon against infantry, but we get a -2 to our roll because we're doing the moving and firing at the same time. So we're going to roll a die. So we were at, with the +3 and a -2, we're at +1. And there's no like intervening terrain that has anything that obscuring line of sight, so no negatives to that. So we got a 4 + 1 is a 5. We compare that to, I should have looked real quick here, launches a grenade, play during the movement action of an enemy infantry unit, play before the movement action of one of your infantry units. Yeah, there's nothing here that can help. So this looks like bad news for the German player because we ended up with a 5 for our roll, 4 plus the 1 for our bonus, accumulation of our bonuses. We compare it to his defense on here as a 5, and that recon group is taken out because it's only a one-step unit. Yep, so I did not think that through very well for the German player. Then what you have to do is you have to look and see where this goes. If there's more than one place that can take a recon group, or whatever the unit that got knocked out is, it goes under the options first before the main part of the tile. So that was his number 2 tile. So now it's the Germans' 2 tile. He cannot attack a heavy unit, and there's no real point in him oh, I do need to move up here though, so he doesn't win, right? Yeah, so we're gonna move. We're now in the open, so he's visible. Just doing that, so oh no, he wouldn't win because it's not an infantry unit. It is not an infantry unit. I think you can only win if there's an infantry unit there. Learning game, right? Objectives. You need to be the only player who has at least 1 infantry unit in one of the 4 squares. Okay, yeah, so maybe I shoot instead. Does this guy have a range limitation? No, he only gets a +1. And then this would be intervening, so that would be -1. I don't really see a benefit in him moving out now. 1, 2, 3. He's too far to take that. Mistakes were made. I think maybe I'll just shoot. So I will be seen. I should be able to have line of sight to this guy, because this doesn't block, it doesn't even obscure it. We do have some obscuring. There's a little triangle with a -1 here. He gets a +1 against infantry, so those kind of negate each other out. So we'll just roll. His defense is a 4, so we need to get a 4 or higher. Hey, and I did get a 4. And I don't have anything. Oh, I do. So let's do this. I would have suffered a hit there because the German player got a 4, and his defense value on his little shield is a 4. But we have this card. Play when one of your infantry units suffers a hit or would be destroyed from a firing action. Ignore that hit and place a suppressed mark on the unit instead. We're going to play that card. So instead of flipping to our other side, it takes a suppressed marker. Suppressed markers on units, they get -2 to all their rolls, plus they get 2 less movement points. So it really hinders them. So I think that was actually a good idea. It just turned out that a card kind of canceled it out a little bit. And I made a mistake earlier when I said we're going to take a shot at the tank, because activating this unit, we don't get to take a shot, but we can move it. This is our bazooka team, but we can get him up into a spot where he can take a shot next turn. He has 3 movement, 1, 2, 3. He's still concealed because he's in a place that blocks line of sight. So, yeah, unfortunately for this guy, I think this tank, who is our number 3 here, is going to move and shoot at him as well. Movement of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we'll just move up to here. We'll do a firewall moving. We can't see this guy, he's concealed, so but we still can see this guy. There's no limit on that range, even though I think the rulebook says anything over 7 is anything over 7 suffers a -1 just for long range. Oh, that's abilities. I was slightly confused by that because I didn't know if there had to be like that symbol. It just says range. Any shot over 7 squares is considered to be at long range. It suffers a -2 penalty to the final result of the die roll. It just says any shot over 7 squares. But we're obviously not over 7 squares right now. And we're going to shoot at that guy. So we moved, we got a -2. But against infantry, our weapon here is a +4. So that means we get a +2 to our roll. So we got a 7. And I don't have another card to stop that, so these guys are going to take a hit and have to flip over. Okay, so that's all of our order tokens used. That's the activation phase. Now we go to the supply phase. If there was anything if any abilities that said, hey, at the start of the supply phase, do X, Y, or Z. Here you would discard the bluff tokens. We don't have any bluff tokens out there. The player who has the initiative plays first to do the following actions. Now you can move anything that has not already been activated. So this fire team, and the Americans have the initiative, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3 with that fire team. 1, 2, 3 with that support team. 3 with the 30 cal, the machine gun team, and then they're going to flip over, which you can You can flip over at the start or end of any of your movement actions, and those guys will move up. And then our officer has a movement of 4. Just get him into those trees right there. Now over here, this is our like anti-tank team right here. So let's go 1, 2, 3. My understanding of these concealed units is that these guys are still concealed because this terrain right here has a little -1 that would impact line of sight. So it's nobody has clear vision to this guy yet. At least that's my understanding, because this square is still blocking or obscuring vision. Let's go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Our officer has a movement of 4. 2, 3. And then these guys, they have 3 movement, but this is difficult terrain. I don't really feel like using my card for that. Yeah, that's fine. So everybody has moved. Then the second thing they can do is you can discard 1 suppressed marker from any unit that has suppressed markers on it. So we get to get rid of that suppressed marker. That's all the suppressed markers. Then we would do any end of the supply phase stuff, and then we pick up our tokens. And now we can discard any action cards we don't want to keep. I think I'm actually going to keep these cards because of the alternative bonuses they have on them. And then you can draw back up to your hand size. So the Americans played 1 card, so they can draw a card. Oh, I wish we had this last turn. This one has the +1 to movement on it. That's what I was hoping for with that support team, to get them into that terrain right there. Play during the movement action of any enemy unit except an infantry unit, so any kind of vehicles and stuff. Stop the unit at any point in its movement, as long as it's not on terrain element that it couldn't be, and then they get a suppressed marker. All right, and then we flip the initiative and go down to the next turn. So back to counting the number of order tokens, we still have 1 from here, 2 from our officer, 2 from our officer, 1 from here, so each side still has 3. And now the German player is going to pick their initiative stuff first. All right, so capturing this has become more difficult because people can just run infantry units up there. I think we want to take a shot with our anti-tank team at the American tank. And what else do we want to do? Maybe take some shots. I mean, it would be long distance, but well, we definitely want to shoot with our tank. In fact, I think I want to do that first, to try to get a bunch of suppression markers out there, and I'll talk about that actually too. I don't know, maybe we just take a shot with maybe like this fire group here. So what does the American side want to do? They also want to take a shot with their bazooka team at the enemy tank. And that machine gun team there, they're set up. Maybe they should shoot at somebody. Maybe they'll shoot with the tank. And let's get this support team into this. Try to get them into this element here. The terrain element there. The bunker. Foxhole. Sorry, not a bunker. So we have our tokens out there. Now I think we just go to the activation phase. German player has the initiative, so his tank is going to go first. Now, people with the machine gun ability can shoot at multiple targets, and it can be combined with the suppression ability. And the multiple targets have to at least be within 2 of each other. Does it make sense to do suppression, or should I do regular shot? I think I'm gonna do regular shot actually. Suppression, when you do suppression, you don't do damage to the other team. You get to put suppression markers on them, but you get to double your bonus. So like this +4 would become a +8. Now if I just do a regular firing action, I could actually shoot at the tank also. Instead of last time I did a move and fire, and I could only use the secondary gun. Yeah, so we're going to do firing action and using both of our weapons. Let's start with actually shooting at the tank. So against heavy vehicles, it's a +0. There's nothing really... There's no line of sight issues, I don't think. Especially if you go from the middle of this hex, like to the back of this one. And then we're going through the side of this vehicle, so we're going to use this side defense number of 6. It's a +0, so we need to roll a 6 for this to work. It doesn't seem very likely. I'm wondering actually if we shoot our main gun then at infantry or something. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to switch to an infantry target instead. I'm going to shoot at this support team. Because at least with the main gun I get a +1. And they have a lower defense value. Actually, I'm going to change it up. I'm going to shoot at this fire team because they have a 4. So against infantry it's +1. Any defensive things over here? Nope. So the symbols on these dice are a 6. I should have shot at the tank, but it's too late now. Their defense is 4. Oh, but they're in a terrain element, which gives them +2. So actually, it's a good thing I rolled a 6. He did get a +1 though. So this is actually a 7 to his 4. +2 from the terrain is a 6. I still hit him. So they have to flip over. So that was probably dumb, but it actually ended up working out. So that's this weapon. Now we go to the secondary weapons. And I'm going to shoot at this guy and this guy. This guy's not in a terrain element right now, but this guy is. So he's going to get +2, which means his defense value is 7. And the way that you shoot at multiple people, we look at what his bonus is. It's +4. I can divide that +4 up how I want across the units I'm shooting at, as long as there's at least +1 on every single one I'm shooting at, and they have to be within 2 of each other. I can't see this guy, which is who I really would want to shoot at because he has an order token on him. But I'm going to shoot at this one and this one. I'm going to assign +3 here and +1 here. This is my understanding of how this works. If you know different, I would love to see it in the comments down below. Let's go here first. It's +3. I got a 2. That's 5 total. His defense is 5, +2 is 7. I missed. Now we go here. I've assigned +1 there. 5 + 1 is 6. His defense is 5. There's no terrain there. So I knocked this unit out because it had already been flipped over. And by knocking out a unit that had an order token on it, they lose that order token for this turn. So the support team needs to go here. That support team has been shot at quite a bit. I believe that's everything for that unit. So we go to order token number 1 over here. It's our bazooka team. So these guys do have a couple new symbols on them. This right here means that this thing actually is limited to a range of 7, cannot shoot farther than that. This one here means pierce. Pierce is going to get a bonus to the die roll when we're figuring out how you damage the vehicle, because vehicles get damaged a little bit differently than infantry units do. Okay, so against heavy vehicles, we get a +3. And I think I'm going to play this card. This is a +1 during a firing action. So I'm pretty sure I can get another +1. So we're at a +4 for this roll. Oh no. So that's a 5. We're coming into the front of this tank. And in the front, this tank has a defense value of 7. Our 5 does not beat the 7. All right, I believe that's it for the bazooka team. So now we have to find unit 2. So that's the anti-tank unit on this side. It's going to be very similar. The Panzerschrecks here, they'll have a +4 already versus heavy. And there is a -1 shooting through this terrain right here, though. So we're at +3 on this. 4 + 3 is 7. That equals the front armor of the tank here, because we're going into the front. The way vehicles work, there's a chart in the book that I also probably should have printed out. Well, you don't even really need the chart because it's written on the tiles, as long as you know what it does. So you roll the die. It's a 3. They have that pierce ability, which means that they get +1 to that, so that's a 4. So on a 3 or 4, that means the hull was hit, and the tank's going to get 2 suppression markers on it. So you also put the damage marker on the tank, because if it ever gets hit in the same location again, then it's destroyed. It's also going to get 2 suppression markers on it. So them taking an action now is going to be at an extreme disadvantage. And that's our Panzerschreck team. We go to number 2 over here, which is the tank. So now we got to figure out what we want to do with the tank, especially now that it has 2 suppression markers on it. maybe we still just try to shoot at some guys. It's going to be at a severe disadvantage. Maybe we just try to suppress the only other unit that has a marker on it. If we do a shot with our main gun, there's going to be so many negatives to the roll. We've already got -4 from this. I mean, there's no way we're gonna, if we shoot at this, we'd be going through obscuring terrain or the front armor. There's no way we can get to a 7 with -4. Because we only get a +1 versus heavy vehicles. I mean, I guess we'll just let's do 1 suppression shot so we can at least double our bonus, and we'll try to suppress the 1 unit that has not gone yet. Which in the multiplayer game, at this point, there'd be another bluff token out there, which would be an advantage. So this side really wouldn't know which unit hadn't gone yet. So what's the calculation here for a suppression? We get to double our number, so it's +3. Doubling that is +6. We subtract 4 for these 2 suppression markers. That's at a +2. And we have -1 and -1 for these terrain elements that we're shooting through and into. So it's basically just a straight up roll. We got 6 added, we had 6 taken away, so it's a straight up roll. So we're just trying to suppress. We did get a 4. Unfortunately, his defense value is 5 because of the terrain he's in, so we did not suppress him. That shot from the Panzerschreck on the tank actually was good. Getting those negatives on there worked out well for them. Pretty sure I did that correctly. And now we have unit number 3. This fire group gets to go. What do they want to do? Is there anybody they can shoot at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They could see this bazooka team, but their defense right now is a 7 because of where they are. And we get a +2. So we'd have to roll a 5 or a 6, actually -1 for this. We'd have to roll a 6. Doesn't seem very smart. This might not be very smart either. Oh, he can only move 3, and I don't have a bonus to movement. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The officer is. Can they even see? Or does that just block line of sight behind it? I need to look that up. Let's see. This element totally blocks LOS or interferes with LOS that cross it. Hope I didn't already make a huge mistake. Line of sight, line of sight. This terrain element completely blocks LOS, but what about somebody who's sitting in it? Okay, it says you cannot shoot at an enemy unit if there are any terrain elements of this type between the 2 units. Do not count the square that the firing unit is or in the square occupied by the target when checking for LOS and obscuring terrain. In all cases, if a unit is in another unit's LOS, both units can see each other. Okay, so you're not supposed to count the square that the firing unit is in or the square occupied by the target. So when I added the extra -1 here, that was wrong as well. It sounds like you only count the ones that you're going through, not leaving or into. Which makes sense because they're getting the defense bonus, I guess, right? So now I don't even remember what I rolled, but I don't think they were going to be suppressed. Oh, wait. Did it equal? Well, whatever. I'm just going to say it's fine the way it is. It's a learning game. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they get a +2, -1 is a +1, and they're sitting at a 7. We still got to roll a 6, so it's still dumb to shoot those guys. This guy has a 8. This tank is going to block LOS to both of these guys. It's going to block line of sight to both of these guys. So maybe we just move. I don't want to get in the way of the Panzerschreck team being able to shoot over here either. One, two. I'm going to move out to be in a position where maybe we can assault one of these infantry teams next turn. Perhaps not wise. They lost their 3 action on this side, so now we go to the moving people who have not gone yet. Now this machine gun team looks scary there. If I don't move up though, it's just leaving this open for them to run up and take it. So I'm going to force some action. I will move up and say, if you don't move out there, guess what? I'm getting that bonus, whatever it is. I don't know if I want to move that guy. Let's move our officer up here just for fun. This recon group has a movement of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's all the movement I'm going to do for the German side. Then any suppression markers? No. I can't just let him win, so I have to move up. Oh, wait, this might have been illegal. 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to do it very specifically, not to be going through zones of control. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm fine. Actually, I don't think vehicles stop infantry from moving. I don't think their zone of control stops infantry from moving. Yeah, we're not going to let you just take that. He's already gone. Yeah, see, so now like this recon guy is kind of preventing the support team from being able to get in here. 1, 2, because if he goes here, he can't then move again inside this zone of control into here. So maybe we just move into this terrain. Oh, wait, where was he? He was right here. No, we're gonna have a little bit of fun. We're gonna add our +1 to this. We can go through our own units. So, oh, this terrain stops movement though. Never mind. I guess we can flip the machine gun team over and then go 1, 2. And then I don't think they can flip back on the same turn because they've already flipped once. Abilities. Tripod, your unit's properties change. For example, setting up a machine gun and stuff. You need to turn at the beginning or the end of a movement action. You can do this. A unit can only voluntarily change state once at the start or end of its movement action. That, yeah, so I'm pretty sure that applies to all of those that have the flipping over ability. I think that's going to be it. So, or no, let's get the support team into here. And I don't really feel like we're going to be using the officer to be shooting anytime soon. We have to take 1 suppression marker off of this tank. So we're still going to have 1 for next turn. Those are not controlled by only 1-side infantry. Move the initiative marker down. Do we want to get rid of anything? No. We'll draw a card for the Americans. Play this card to alter the result of a die roll. Reroll or make someone reroll all dice for a given result. Okay. What do I want to do as the Americans now? Let's assault those guys off of there. Let's try to shoot the tank again. And let's set up and try to take out this recon group that is right next to us. Now, I don't know how smart moving the recon group there was. It did force the Americans to make a move, though. All right, so what do I want to do on this side? Panzer Shrek team. Middle to middle, I think they can still see the front of that tank there. I really want to take that tank out. I want to try to get that fire team off of that bonus objective. And let's shoot with our tank again. Okay, so now I think we're just going to go into the activation phase. The American has the initiative. This is our first one. So we're going to do an ambush because this unit has this knife looking ability thing on it. Ambushing is during a movement. You're basically moving into a spot where there's an enemy unit. You have to be able to attack that kind of unit. For example, this unit cannot do damage to heavy vehicles, which this tank is, so he would not be able to ambush that one. But we're going to ambush these guys. Now, I don't think there's ambush steps on this thing. No, there's not. So ambushing is a little bit different. It helps if I pick up the right book. I picked up the scenario book. Not ambushing. I keep saying ambushing. Sorry, it's assaulting, not ambushing. Okay, assault. If you have the assault ability, obviously you'd have to have it to be able to do it. So as the attacker, we're going to roll 2 dice. The defender here also has the assault ability, so they're going to get to roll 2 dice. Now, I don't see any limitation on the number of cards that can be played. But the German player is also going to declare they're playing this card for this assault bonus of +1. If they had suppression on them, they would have negatives to their rolls because it's like negatives to all rolls. So let's just roll and see what happens. We got 2 6s, so that's good. You take the highest one, so we're just going to take this one of the 6s. The German player rolled 2 3s, so he's going to take 3. So he has a +2 against infantry, so he's currently sitting at 8. The German player has a 3. He has +1 from the card that he plays, that he played. And if he had been in terrain that offered any bonuses, he could add that. But I think that's it. There's nothing else that he can add. Oh no, he gets to add his bonus against this type of enemy also is +2, so he's at 3. So we're at 8 to 6. The 8 obviously wins. And then there's different resolutions based upon what you're assaulting. Okay, so he's assaulting an infantry unit. It's going to take a hit. So it has to get flipped over. And it also has to retreat 1 hex. Oh, now this retreat is going to block our Panzerschreck. Which is kind of a bummer. And we also take the spot where that guy was. I think that's everything for the assault. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's everything for the assault. Yeah, the attacker has to take its place. All right, so let's go to German unit number 1 was the Panzerschreck. We can't shoot there now, but I guess we just take a shot at this fire team. We get +0 against infantry. There's a -1 here for this terrain. So we're actually at a -1 on this roll. Was a 6, -1 is 5. His defense is 4. Do I make him re-roll? No, that's all right. I'll take the hit. So that's the Panzerschreck team done. Okay, our bazooka team is team 2. They're going to shoot at the tank. They get +3 against heavy stuff. I really want to hit that tank. I'm going to re-roll that. I'm going to play my re-roll card to re-roll this. And it's even worse. All right. Who was number 2? Okay, this fire group up here is number 2. We are going to assault that fire team. Because we have another +1 assault card. They don't have anything to play. The German player will roll 2 dice. He'll keep the 4. The American player also has the assault ability, so he gets to roll 2 dice. Oh wow, the American dice are behaving better. This is +2, so we're at 4. He had 1 from his card, and 2 from his against infantry is 3, so he's sitting at 7. The American started at 6. He only has a +1, so he's at a 6. Yeah, so 7 beats the 6. There's no other terrain or anything here. Okay, so playing the card there helped. This guy's already been hit. He's on his weakened side already. So he's going to be eliminated. And he has to go to this option here first. That is the second tile to be eliminated from this option. Once 2 tiles have been eliminated, this gets flipped over. So these are VPs for the German player, but even more beneficial for the German player is now that this unit is knocked out, basically, they don't get this order token anymore when we start a new round. This fire group is going to take this spot here. Okay, then we go to tile 3. Oh, they can only flip on a movement action, not a firing action, is what I believe I just read a couple seconds ago. In order to activate or deactivate these, you need to turn the unit over at the beginning or end of a movement action. So that machine gun team is kind of locked into their current stance. Unless they just want to flip over. Yeah, I think we're just going to set up. It's kind of weird that we're sharing this foxhole. I don't see anything about not being able to do it when you're in a zone of control. So that should be legal. All right, so now the tank. I think we're just going to do a normal fire action. If we take a shot, should be unobscured into the side with our main gun here. It's a +0. So we need to roll a 6. The Panzer II is not really made for shooting at the tank, and the Stuart is not much better. They don't have like a weak point card. There are cards that allow you to, well, that's already at the lowest value, I guess. Maybe I shoot at an infantry character instead then. I mean, they're at a 7. I'd still have to roll a 6 in order to hit anybody with this main gun. So we might as well shoot at the tank just to see if we roll a 6. I rolled a 4, so I don't. Now let's go to the machine guns, though. It's kind of pointless to try to suppress these guys because they've already gone. So let's just try to shoot somebody and do some damage. Let's shoot at the machine gun team here, even though they're in the bunker or foxhole. We get a +4 against infantry. 5 + 4 is 9. And they have a 5 + 2 is 7. And they're only a one-side unit, so they're gone. Yeah. The bazooka team has kind of failed the American side by missing the tank twice. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that's the end of our activation phase. Supply phase. Who has the initiative? The American player has the initiative. Anybody want to move? I really wish I had one of those don't worry about difficult terrain movement now. I don't think so. I don't think we're moving anybody that hasn't already gone. I have been screwing up a little bit. This recon group, I believe they could have shot at that machine gun team, which makes a whole lot of sense because of this opportunity fire ability. I don't think they were able to see the bazooka team because that team was blocking them. But yeah, they should have shot at them, I think. That's okay. Who do we want to move over here? We have to move somebody up here so we don't lose as the German player. We've got to get an infantry unit in here before the turn is over. Panzerschreck team is already gone. Our officer. 1, 2, 3, 4. This fire group, 1, 2, 3. Let's move them up. And we'll leave our officer where he is. We get to remove a suppression marker. Move this down. Okay, so now we're at a little bit of a different start because when we go to count the number of order tokens we're entitled to, we're no longer entitled to this one because this option here has been broken. We only get to 2 from our officer. Still okay on this side with having 3. Both of these guys have been hit. It's quite possible that having my fire group moved up here was not a smart idea. Because with only 3 movement, I'm just thinking that we need to have somebody that's an infantry type. I guess our officer could always run up here. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? We get to go... Oh, I forgot to do this. I claimed this objective. Let's see what it is. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. So this one I think means that they get an additional order token. +1 numbered order token. It's not looking good for the American side. The German player is going to get to activate quite a few more units here. I don't know if that's permanent or is it for one turn. It says permanent. I didn't draw cards either. Going too fast. Courage, remove a suppressed marker. If your unit shoots at a heavy vehicle, choose the lowest defense value. Oh, this is that weak point card I was talking about, where you get to, no matter which side you're shooting from, can choose the weakest armor, and they'll get an American card. Courage, remove a suppressed marker. All right, so now with 4 activations, I mean, it'd be nice to take the tank out. We can't win as long as the tank is just sitting there as the German player, right? So the Panzerschreck needs to be able to get up and do some work against it, or the tank needs to eventually hit it. So I think we're going to want our tank to go, but probably not first. Let's have these guys go before they possibly get eliminated. We can have these guys go, maybe work on this bazooka team. Maybe there'll be some open spaces here for the Panzerschreck team to go. Okay, we've only got 2 order tokens on this side. This bazooka team needs to put in some work against that tank. And maybe we have the tank go. Okay. We start activating. This German player has the initiative. He's going to assault the fire team. So he's going to roll 2 dice. Oh, he's going to also play this card for the +1. So he's at a 4 with the card, and he only gets a +1. So he's at a 6. American player got a 4 as his best, and he has a +1. 6 to 5. He's already on his wounded side, so that takes him out, actually. So that fire team goes there. And then he takes the space. Okay, the bazooka team is going to shoot at the tank. He's at a +3. Is 6. Still doesn't get through the front armor. Still does not get through the front armor. Wow, I'm pretty sure he's had like a 50-50 shot every turn, and he's missed every single time. Okay, so for 2, I put that guy. Oh, you know what I'm going to do, actually? I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity fire. The symbol that's on this terrain here if a unit was moving, I could shoot at it, or after it takes a fire action, I can shoot at it. We're going to shoot at this bazooka team. They're at a 7. I have a +1. Which means I need to roll a 6. And I rolled a 1. So they do get an activated marker. So when we get to that phase where people that didn't have order tokens can move around, they count as having been activated, so they don't get to move around. Okay, so this fire group here, do we just shoot? I mean, they get a +2 versus a 7 defense here. No, you know what? I think I'm going to move into the foxhole. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the tank is next. We are going to shoot at the tank. We're at a +1 with our main weapon. 5 + 1 is 6. We were so close. I would have gone to the side, but having this obscuring terrain here made it so that it would have been the same total because it has a -1. Now the machine gun, we're just going to shoot here. We get a +3 against infantry. So 4 + 3 is 7. They have a 5 defense. They are eliminated. This is a fire group. So very similar to the US side, there's now 2 destroyed units here. And now they're going to be down an order token. There's no 3 over here, so we go to the 3 over here. The Panzerschreck has a +4 against the tank. Shooting through this terrain is -1, so this is at a +3. Is 8. The frontal armor is a 7. So that's going to hit. They have Pierce, so let's see where it goes. 4 + 1 is 5. 5 is the main gun, so the main gun is taken out. It can no longer shoot. And now we go to order token 4. This tank here is also going to shoot at the tank through the side. Against heavy vehicles, he gets a +0. 4 does not beat the 6, so that doesn't do anything. Now he's going to use his machine gun on this bazooka crew here. He has a +4 against infantry. 4 + 4 is 8. This guy has a base of 5, +2 for the terrain is 7. 8 is higher than 7, obviously. This is only a 1-step unit, so it is knocked out. Okay, everybody has activated. German player has the initiative. Who has not gone yet? Oh, this is interesting. I think the German player can win if this guy's zone of control does not stop movement. Heavy vehicles. There's something about moving with heavy. That's the scenario booklet again. Heavy vehicles. Movement Moving, where is zones of control? Oh, you can run over infantry. I didn't even realize that. Every unit exercises zone of control. You can move into or out of enemy ZOCs, but you cannot move within one. Light and heavy vehicles also have a zone of control. However, their zone of control has no effect on the movement of enemy units. Enemy units can therefore move freely or retreat within squares adjacent to any vehicle. Unlike infantry units, vehicles are not affected by the ZOC of enemy infantry units. All right, yeah, so I think the German player just won because this guy has not moved yet. He has a movement of 3. He can go 1, 2. Oh, no, they're not going to win because this guy's still in the objective zone. Never mind. But we could get set up. We could get set up to knock him out next turn. So 1, 2, 3. And the US player, he's not even going to move out of here. And he's not going to move out of here. The German player does just need to only knock out this support team in order to make this flip over, and then they'll have no order tokens, and when you have no order tokens, you lose. So this actually is probably not that smart, having just read that rule about being able to be run over by heavy vehicles. If a vehicle moves, it can pass through a square that contains an allied or enemy infantry unit. If the vehicle ends its movement action in a square that is occupied by an infantry unit, the infantry unit must make a forced move into an adjacent unoccupied square. It also gains a suppressed marker. I don't know what happens if you just pass through an enemy. Because it only says if you end your movement, it can pass through a square that contains allied or enemy infantry unit. So probably nothing happens if you don't end your movement there. Whatever, it's fine. I'll just move back over to here if he stops his movement on me. I think it's fine. Activated would come off. We get 1 card over here. Oh, wow. So at the start of the next turn, we're down to Americans again. At this point, the Americans are probably just trying to play for a draw. The Germans lost this one, so they're going to lose that token. However, they're going to play this tactician card at the start of the order phase. Get an additional order token. Welcome back, number 4, to the party. We're running out of units here, so let's go tank first, and then this support team second, I guess. Panzer Schreck's going to want to take out the tank. Let's have this fire group maybe shoot at the officer. The tank go, and if we have to, maybe move this guy around. All right, so the tank gets to go first. I mean, yeah, his main gun is taken out, but his machine gun, it's a +3 against infantry. We'll shoot at this fire group. 2 + 3 is 5. His defense is 4. Yeah, he gets hit. Yeah. Probably dumb. That's probably not like very good play. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, he gets 4. Okay. Who's one on this side? Oh, the Panzerschreck. With a +4, -1 here, +3 shooting into the tank. Is going to be a miss. Bummer. I was hoping to blow the tank up. And number 2 on this side. I think we just shoot. Maybe no reason to assault out. Except that we'd be taking an objective space. Let's assault out. So that's a movement action. Let's actually do this. They're gonna move 1. The German player is gonna play this mine card. Play during the movement action of enemy infantry unit. So on a 5 or 6, they're gonna take a hit for stepping on a mine. It's a 3. They don't. Then they go in here to their assault. They have no cards to play. The German has no cards to play. Ooh, he rolls a 6. He has a +2 bonus against infantry. Now I don't think there's a way the German can win because he only has a +1. But he rolls a 4, and he has a +1. Yeah, so he gets taken out. Now this fire group, that lieutenant has an 8 defense. I think we have to assault him for the best chance of doing a hit on him. That guy was protected from the line of sight of these guys being able to shoot at him by this big vehicle. So we're also going to assault out onto that officer there. So he's going to get a terrain bonus. So let's roll for the American guy first. He gets a 4. He gets +2 for his tile, but he gets another +2 for that terrain. So he's currently sitting at a total of 8. All right. So I think we need a 6. This probably wasn't a good idea. Yeah, we only rolled a 3, and they get a +2 for their tile, which means it's 5 to 8. Yeah, so now we got to look at what happens when the defender loses an assault. If the defender is victorious, the attacker takes a hit. Okay. Fortunately, they can flip over. If the attacker is an infantry, then the attacking unit returns to the square from where it launched the attack from. So got it right there. And then the tank gets to go. Now I guess we just shoot at the tank. We have a +0. So we need a 6 basically. Oh, we got a 5. No bonuses? No. All right, everybody has activated. Who has the initiative? The American team has the initiative. This is the, oops. This is the only guy that has not gone anywhere. One, two, three. Just in case he needs to be close for the objective over here. And then we're going to run this recon group 1, 2, just so the German doesn't lose. He had to get an infantry into the objective here. Yeah. The officers are really hard to kill. I'm pretty sure that's it. We get to draw 2 cards for the German player. You can always discard cards you don't want. So what do we got to do to knock this thing out? We just need to take out a support team. We need to knock out this support team right here. So maybe that's how the German player should try to win. Except I don't know if that would be checked until the end or the beginning of turn 7, which isn't going to happen, right? So we're in the last round. German player has the initiative. He's got 1, 2, 3 order tokens. Any cards that give him any more? No. We just don't have very many people except for this Panzerschreck team that can damage this tank. The recon group does not have the assault ability. Has +1. I mean, I guess we can try to take out this. So we've got 5 units. Let's see. One, two, three. This fire group might be able to move in. I guess we just try to take the tank out. And we're going to go tank and support team. I think that's everything. So German player, first order token, recon group. I guess we take a shot at the support team. There you have a +1. So that's 4. Oh, and the support team only has a 4 defense. So they take a shot. Is there anything? No. Okay. Is number 1. That recon group has already gone. We don't have a main weapon that's been taken out. We do have a machine gun that's pretty potent. Who has... They have the same defense. I guess I should try to get the infantry out of the objective area. Of course, this support team is going to get to go next. And they can attack these guys. So I think the tank is going to shoot the fire group over there. He's at a +3. There's no intervening terrain that does anything to line of sight or anything. 4 + 3 is 7. These guys are a 5. They're gone. So that's 2 out of 3. Okay, the tank. I guess we shoot at the tank. But we still need a 6, right? Because we get a +0. Man, and I got a 5. No, I really need a +1 card, but I don't have a +1 card. And I would have had to have played it before I rolled, so. We just keep barely missing that tank. All right, the support team is going to shoot at this recon team, or do they shoot at the Panzerschreck team? Let's shoot at the recon group. There's a 3 + 2 is a 5. They have a 5 defense. They're a 1-hit unit. So you know what? That breaks the recruitment tile. Yeah, so that tile is broken. They have 1 permanent extra star though. That's interesting. So they don't like auto lose. It's not an auto lose, but at the beginning of the next order phase, they would normally have lost, but I don't think they will now. All right, you know what? Panzerschreck team, just for fun, because I think this is going to be a draw, is going to shoot with a +4 against the Stuart. Hey, that's 7. That hits breaks through the front armor. 3 + 1 for the Pierce is 4. They've already been hit in the 4 location. Wow, this is like 1 turn too late. So that becomes a wreck. So now we would go to, because all the order tokens have been used, we would go to the phase where the units get to, they have not activated, get to move. This officer is going to need to move up here. He is an infantry type just to be in the secondary objective so that the Germans don't lose. But I think that's pretty much the end, because we're done with 6 turns. Nobody was able to win, so it's a tie. I think 1 more turn, and the Germans probably would have been able to squeak it out. It would have been interesting. We would have attacked this guy. That would have been their last... Oh, wait. This Stuart was taken out, so this technically would have been flipped. I mean, if you want to look at just victory points, 10 victory points go to the German player, but 12 here go to the US player. So there's 12 points of victory points for the US player there. Yeah, okay. So again, like I said, this was just a learning game, trying to make sure I've got these rules down. So if you saw any mistakes that I made, please let me know. I hope you enjoyed this playthrough of Heroes of Normandy, the Big Red 1 edition. I hope you enjoy everything I'm putting up on the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.